Hi guys, here at Chief Active we're all about promoting a holistic view on wellness, which is why we've teamed up with the crew at ClassPass to bring you a series of wellness talks that educate, inspire and connect our beautiful community. This video is from our third talk, which is a goal setting workshop featuring Erin from ClassPass and Nick from Yoga Ecstasy, which gives you really great actionable tips on developing a plan to achieving your own vision through fitness, health and happiness goals. We've included a link in the description below which includes the worksheet that they talk about, and we really recommend you working through this as you're listening to the talk, because that way you'll be able to work out some strategies for your own goals in your own life. They also talk about a weekly planner, which is literally just a calendar. So hopefully you love this video, and if you do, please give it the like, as we'd love to produce more content like this, and don't forget to subscribe to us. And if you are interested in more events like this from Chief, please click here and view our events calendar and subscribe to the weekly updates there.
Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking the evening and spending it with us tonight. We really appreciate you coming along. It's amazing to see the community come together in an intimate setting, particularly with something that's so action-oriented. So we're really excited to do this. We put this together with a lot of passion over the last couple of weeks, so we're very excited to share it with you. So I'm Erin. I work for ClassPass. I'm usually based in Sydney, but come down to Melbourne whenever I can to experience your beautiful classes and your beautiful food. And this is Nick. Nick is the head trainer at Yoga Ecstasy. Has everyone been to Yoga Ecstasy here? Quite a few? Yeah. Cool.
I recognise a few faces.
So Nick is originally from the UK, has been here for 2 years? 4 years? He's practically a local. He's been in Melbourne for 2 years. He's super passionate about fitness and health in a holistic way. And one of the things that Yoga Ecstasy really prides itself on is the way that it brings those things together by offering both fitness classes, strength classes and also yoga, as well as a nutrition side. So a really holistic sense of well-being, which is amazing and quite unique to the Melbourne fitness market. So they're first in, really, in that sense. Cool. And Nick's going to be leading the workshop tonight officially. And we also are really happy to thank our partners tonight. So Kate from Chief Active has been instrumental in the bringing together of the Winter Wellness Series. If you haven't heard of Chief Active, it's an awesome platform that gives you heaps of info into what's going on in the health and fitness scene in Melbourne and beyond, actually, and really beautifully well-written articles that are very resourceful, so jump on and have a look. She also has a great events page, so if you're looking for the next up-and-coming thing, you can always check in there. And then thank you to our beautiful partners tonight. We've got Faria from Nourish Bowls. If you want to just poke your head around the corner, guys. Oh, Faria, you're right there. We've got Tanya from Healer, so make sure you check out the turmeric. She's down the back. And then we've got baked cakes as well. Baked cakes. And Jen's left, but she might come back a little later. Or you can catch up with her. You can definitely check out her website and find out where she is as well. Cool, so we'll get started. Sound good? And thank you to Lululemon tonight for hosting us. It's so great to be here in this awesome space. So, yeah, sit down. We'll get started. So, tonight, what we really want to do is help you to create an action plan for spring. And this really was born out of my selfish desire to get out of the depths of August and to get into what's coming next, but also to really bring awareness and focus to enjoying that journey rather than just wishing these months away and wishing ourselves into summer. And so I checked in with Nick because I know he's an expert in a lot of these areas, and I'm good at big picture thinking but not so good at the action, and the steps that you take to get there. And so together we've come up with this strategy for you tonight. And it really all starts with creating a vision first and foremost. So we're about taking the big picture and making it small and strategic and actionable, so that you can really take steps every day and not have it be something that's so crazy and out there when you think about your goals that it's unachievable. Does that make sense? Cool. Has everyone ever have you all had the experience of setting a goal and then it kind of, time passes and the goal gets further away or it doesn't get any closer? Because we haven't been able to create the small steps to get us there. So this is all about breaking that down. And tonight there's a couple of things that we really ask of you. And the first one is that, first of all, you let go of any has, buts, like any things that might stop you from thinking that anything is possible. And second of all is that you step into your possibility. So really understanding that you get to create what happens next in your life. You have the power of choice, and you really can choose to live into what's possible if you have that mindset. So the first and foremost thing to know with all of this is that attitude is absolutely paramount in setting and achieving strategic goals and creating a life that you love. And that's what we're all here for. So we'll start tonight by first of all setting a vision. And you may have done an exercise like this before, but what I'm going to ask you to do now is get really comfortable. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for just a couple of minutes. Just grab the Fitness Equals Freedom sheet so that it's ready. But you can put it down, like, just so you don't have to touch anything. Maybe just take your hands, clasp them so that they're comfortable. And then 2 feet on the ground if possible. Just really get comfortable in your seat and find that grounding. Cool. Sit up tall, close your eyes, shoulders down the back. And I'm just going to ask you to imagine your life in 3 months' time. So no crazy big picture stuff right now. It's 3 months. It's 90 days. It's 2,160 hours. And it's 129,600 minutes away. So not much time, but in another sense, a lot of time. And so stepping into that moment in 90 days, you wake up. It's the weekend. And you've got a whole day off. You've got nothing else to do except whatever it is that you want to do. No chores, no housekeeping, no one to please. So you wake up, you look out your window and it's gorgeous. It's crystal clear, it's sunny, and you can already tell that it's warm. You walk out into your living room and you make yourself breakfast. What do you make? How does it taste? And how do you feel as you plan your day ahead? And then you head off onto your morning activities, your morning adventures. Where do you go? How do you choose to spend your morning? Perhaps you're going on an adventure for the whole day. Perhaps you're going to meet friends for a class and coffee afterwards. Perhaps you're doing something that you've never done before. Perhaps you're simply choosing to spend the day with somebody that you love. And who do you choose to spend the day with? Maybe it's your best friends. Maybe it's your family. Might be that special someone. It might be your dog or your pet. And as you go through that day, how do you feel? On this day, that's your perfect day, with nobody else to please, what is it that makes you feel happy? And as you move into the evening, what are you most grateful for? Is it the long summer days? Is it the work that you put into achieving your goals over the last few months? Is it how fit and healthy you feel? What is it that makes you feel most happy? And slowly draw yourself back into this moment. And when you're ready, just open your eyes and without speaking to anyone, just take a couple of minutes to write down what it was that came up for you. Knowing that if nothing came up, it's totally okay. If a bunch of stuff came up, you can turn over on the page and write on the back. You might want to draw it. There's no rules here, so just do whatever works for you. Maybe if you even start scribbling, you can then turn it over and just make it a little more concise in those few lines. How did that go? Did that challenge anyone? Everyone looks pretty sorted. Sometimes thinking into the future can be really challenging and a little bit scary because anything's possible, and that means that anything is possible. It can be big. But the more that you think about this and the more that you start to do things like vision exercises, the easier it gets. And a couple of things that I've learned from my years, I worked with Lululemon for about 4 years, and you can see these guys have their goals up on the wall as an amazing reminder. And they've got their vision there, and one of the things that came up for me while I was working for Lululemon was just that every single time it changed. And that's okay, because whatever you're creating into in this moment doesn't necessarily have to be the same as next time, but the more that you start to vision, the more that those things can start to align, or you'll see that the journey is kind of narrow, like the path is kind of narrowing, the more that you do it. So it's pretty cool to do this every couple of months on an ongoing rolling basis. Visioning is pretty fun. Cool, so we're going to move into from here. So that was a fairly holistic look at what 3 months, your perfect day in 3 months looks like. And from here we're going to break it down and really start to create into fitness goals, health goals, so more widely health goals, and then happiness goals, which are the best ones. So we're going to pass over to Nick to take you through what fit looks like.
Okay, so the first section is our fitness section. So essentially what we need to do with the fitness aspect is look at the 3 different sections that I've broken it down into, are stronger, leaner or faster. So whether that's based on a running goal, whether that's based on something that you want to achieve with your fitness, if you want to be able to lift your body weight, if you want to be able to perform at, go to a HIIT class, for example, like a high intensity interval training class, and be able to perform at the maximum for the whole time. Or whether it's you want to participate in the marathon festival that's coming up in October. Has anyone got any kind of running goals at all? Running goals? Yeah. So you might be aware that there's lots of different distances that they're available for. So you've got a 3K, you've got a 5.7, there's a 10K, there's a 21, there's a 42K. So you've got all those different goals that you can hit, and it doesn't necessarily have to be running headfirst into a marathon. It can be, breaking it down. So there's lots of different resources. So if you're, for example, if we're looking at the running example, if you were planning a marathon and wanted to do that for October, that from now to then might be slightly unachievable. So if you were just going to start it, we're looking at a 12-week time frame. So you would have to get your marathon timetable, you'd have to look at the planning that it takes to run each and every day. But you could maybe start with the 5K or the 5.7. So there's running clubs, there's different things that you can get involved in throughout the city. So there's a Run the Tan group, there's a Albert Park run, where there's kind of meetings. So the first thing that you would essentially have to do is just commit to it. So that's step 1. So that can be applied to the leaner goals as well. So has anybody got that goal that they would like to just feel leaner? They want to have that kind of long, lean dancers kind of body is what I hear spoken about a lot. Raise your hands for who aspires to that a little bit. Yeah. So you've got to look at the different types of classes and different things that are available for you on there. So is the majority of people here on ClassPass? Most people? Yeah. So what we'll try and do today is try and set you a weekly timetable and something that you can actually fit into your lifestyle. I find that with our clients that we work with at Yoga Ecstasy, the most important thing is for them to actually go, okay, Monday I work at this time, I have to be at work at this time, I can't go to this session, or I can go to the evening session, I can't make this session. So the most important thing is finding out which classes that you want to do and then setting those classes for each week and sticking to a timetable. So what I'll get you guys to do first is decide in your fit goal what you want to do. So whether that's to be either stronger, leaner or faster. So pick one of those type of groups if that is for you.
It could be anything else too.
Yeah, it could be absolutely anything, but just pick a goal for your fit category. And then the next important thing to do is to make that time effective. So you've got to pick a goal and by when. So if you look at a time frame for, say, the start of the summer or for the spring, so you go for that one as well. Yeah, spring is coming up too.
Just a couple of notes too on the way that you write your goal. If you can write it in the present tense, we generally try to write goals, and I learned this from Lululemon actually as well, in the way that we bring the law of attraction into action. And so essentially by writing it in the present tense, we write it as though we already have it. So for instance, rather than saying I will run 21 kilometers, I run 21 kilometers. So I do it, not I will do it. And the difference there is by triggering our subconscious into thinking that we are already doing it, we're more likely to actually bring that into reality. So it's quite cool to just change that thinking a little bit. Another key concept there is to write, if you can, write the goal in a way that's positive rather than in a way that's negative. So rather than I will not run slow, I will run fast. Or that's a really simple example, but just trying to switch it from that negativity into positive for the same reason.
Okay, so once you've got your goal and you've got your date that you want to achieve that by, we're going to look at our first step towards achieving that. So, like I said, the first way to go about it is to set yourself your weekly timetable. So on the next sheet, we've got the Monday to Sunday. So what I'd like you to do is to look at what times in your ideal week when you would like to fit in your exercise. So whether that's, if that's for a leaner goal, it might be pick a reformer Pilates class for doing on a Monday. It might be a bar class for a Wednesday. It might be a resistance class for a Thursday. And just try and visualize what your ideal perfect week looks like and exactly where everything fits in.
Nick, I know these would be different for every person, but let's say if someone wanted to be stronger, how many strength sessions a week would you recommend?
So yeah, so for example, if you're looking at a strength goal, if you want to be able to lift your own body weight or to be able to push weights more easily and get stronger, you're looking at least 2 strength sessions per week, if you can fit in 2 of those. So whether that's body weight strength, whether it's lifting your own non-TRX sessions, whether it's something like a kettlebell session, but you're looking at least 2 of those strength sessions per week to make an impact with your other training. It might even be power yoga, it might even be, like I say, your reformer Pilates. So if you want to be leaner, so we're looking at HIIT classes, for example, are very effective for burning fat, obviously very effective for raising your metabolism to that point where you're always in a kind of fat burning state as opposed to working on slower cardio. So once you've mapped out your week and got a basic guide for what you want to do, we've also got to look at how you're going to recover. So for example, you might want to add in like some sort of recovery yoga class or some sort of yin, something like that to balance out what you're doing in the strength aspect. And look at rest days as well. So what you're doing on your rest day, whether it's a swim, whether it's completely rested, whether it's going for a walk, something like that, and just add that in there, or how you go about your downtime. Okay, and finally, so if you're looking at sort of increasing your training, or if you're looking at certain training days, you need to look at kind of how your diet and how what you eat, your nutrition affects how you train. So what happens fairly regularly when people come into a HIIT class, for example, is they might not eat before they come and train. So what happens there is that impacts their training. So what you need to think about is what energy you need to sustain that working week. So if you're working out in the morning, for example, first thing in the morning, does anyone not eat before they train, or kind of they go to a class? Do you ever get that kind of light-headed feeling, or are you just used to it? So yeah, it's just, I mean, it's looking at what works for you. What we recommend is something that's kind of easily available energy. Something like a banana is perfect before you train. And then after you train, you're looking at recovery food, so your proteins and things like that. Is everyone confident with kind of what they're supposed to eat when they train, and or does everyone feel like they're a bit kind of, there's so much information being bombarded at them? There seems to be lots of kind of contradictions and things like that. Someone says eat this or don't eat that. So another thing that you can do for that is to either like consult a nutritionist or something like that. If you look at, so there's lots of services that are available. But speaking to a nutritionist to actually map out what you're doing with your diet throughout the week as well. So say you're food prepping on a Sunday, every single Sunday, go and do your shopping, do your food prep, and make sure you've got snacks that are readily available for before you train, for after you train. Obviously, does everyone go to a class in the morning and then go straight to work, or come straight to a class after work or something like that? So having food so that when you're on the fly and you've got it there ready to go is a massive thing. That's takes out stopping on the way home and getting something that's not so good for you. Just make sure that you've got enough readily available food and energy to keep your training up. Otherwise, you start getting exhausted and over time. Okay, so we'll move on to our healthy side of things. Healthy has a lot of different meanings to different people. So healthy might be like a mindset. It could be your nutrition. It could be attitude. It could be your work-life balance. It could be training. It could be energy. It could be body composition. It could be hydration. It could be lots of different things. So just have a little think about that and write your kind of healthy goal. So it's completely individual. Doesn't matter what it is, but just think about what makes you feel healthy.
It's important to note too there that your fitness goal might be integrated into your overall health goal. So we're really just taking a step back and looking a little bit bigger picture. Also, this might be the first time that you've really thought about what health is to you. So it might be a great opportunity to just reflect, knowing that it's such an, like as Nick said, it's such an individual thing.
So once we've got our goal and then our specific end date, or a rough end date at least, we've got to then look at our steps towards achieving that goal. So like we did with the first one, that same process. So for example, the healthy goal that I've got written down for myself when I was trying to come up with this, it was about having the energy to last the day for me. So it's about, as a trainer, we kind of get up early morning, we train people for 3-4 hours or whatever it is, and then you've got the kind of middle of the day, and then you've got to go back to training kind of for 4 hours, 5 hours at the end of the day. So for me, it's about timing my nutrition and trying to kind of time my sleep and do all that kind of stuff just to be able to last the day. So my first step would be the time of training, for example, the time of my first daily activity. So I can't really train before work. It's a bit difficult for me to train before work, but that might be the first step is looking at the timing of those activities. So looking at what you were doing in your weekly planner, and looking at the timing of those things. So The second step for me would be exploring the effect of diet, like I mentioned in the first, in the fitness goals, exploring the effect of, what time I eat and what I eat and the type of, carbohydrates and proteins and that side of things. So exploring the effect of my diet on that, and then measuring the effect of my sleep patterns. Okay, so the last section we'll move on to that some of you have started to tie in. Like we said, that's a good thing. So if you're fit and your healthy goals are tying into your happiness and where you're going to see yourself for your vision, that's a great thing. So happiness really is something that means something completely different for every person. So when I was kind of associating things to happiness, you're looking at whether it's taking a holiday, going on a trip, whether it's setting up your own business, for example, if that's what you think is going to make you happy, and being able to govern your own time and do your thing. We've got some business owners obviously from that have come tonight, that have managed to kind of set up their own business and work with food and helping people. That might be one way to go for your happiness, whether it's balance in your lifestyle, whether it's a relationship. So relationships are a big important one for happiness. Your career, your social life, your home life, whether it's your house, your home, whatever it is, and like I say, travel, holidays and things like that. So have a think about a goal that you've got for your happiness, and try to keep it within that 3 months as well. So have a little think about one of those.
What's beautiful about the 3 months is that it could build into something more. So it might be like a smaller goal that builds into a longer term goal that you have. So even, perhaps if your long term goal is to have your own business, maybe in the next 3 months you just figure out what that business idea is that you have. So maybe that's a smaller goal that builds into a bigger one. But yeah, I think there is so much there that you can create in 3 months, and sometimes with these bigger, especially with happiness, we can find ourselves getting stuck because the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And just a quick fun fact for you, I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you write down your goal, you're 50% more likely to achieve it. So that's why we've got you writing all this stuff tonight. It's a method behind the madness. Also, another thing as you're writing these happiness goals is to just think about a bit of a stretch. So this might be an area where you could challenge yourself a little. So if you're feeling a calling, if it's pursuing a hobby or a passion, maybe this is one of the places where you could really think about stretching it and challenging yourself to build into what's possible. When we start to get into happiness and looking at happiness, it's easy to stay safe. And I think we easily put ourselves in the place of like, okay, we can continue on with our lives and we're reasonably happy. It might not be overflowing, our cup might be not full all the time, but it's, it's midway point, it's maybe a little bit more than halfway, so we'll just leave it where it is. And there's a mentality that we talk about when we look at motivation and drive, where you're either, I don't know if you've heard of this, where you do things, you're motivated to do things when you're either backed up against the wall and you have to do it. It's like the fight or flight, kind of the procrastinating until it's the last minute and then you just got to get it done, so you do it. Or there's like the motivation that happens when you're looking for the carrot that's dangling out in front of you. And when we're setting these goals, we want to look for the carrot, if that makes sense. So it's we're setting a goal that's going to allow us to build into driving ourselves forward rather than having to set boundaries or having to put ourselves under pressure or stress to get something done. Does that make sense? I just wanted to call that out because sometimes that can be, I know for myself, procrastination is something that I struggle with all the time. It's when I'm most challenged that I perform as well. And so that's a hard thing to get away from. So really defining what it is that you want that's out there in the future will help allow, and that's what part of this is, that it will really help allow you to drive yourself forward to it rather than just doing it because you don't want to get into shit with someone or needing to set false accountability to people as well.
Yeah. That makes sense. So that kind of brings us on to the last point of how will I celebrate kind of everything that you've achieved, or how will you celebrate once you hit that goal. I think I'm guilty of looking into the future and setting a goal, but then when you finally get to that goal, you're always looking a bit further ahead. So you don't actually give yourself time to evaluate, you know, what you've achieved, how far you've come. You kind of, you're looking at the next one. And I find that if you set yourself a way that you're going to celebrate hitting that goal, which is why the evaluation process is really important, which is why, you know, looking at this weekly timetable, if you take every Sunday, you look at the classes that you've done and you check in with that, you're not going to let that run away from you. You're not going to kind of get to this point where you've achieved all these things and it's great and that's what you've been dreaming of and that's what you've been thinking of, and then you don't actually realise you've done it, because then you're always chasing something. So that, like Erin said with the carrot, having that, you know, whether it's if you've hit all your goals and you're super strong and lean and you've started this new business and you've stepped away from something and you've hit your goals, so like whether it's taking a trip, whether it's like, you know, so whatever it is, if it's you know, planning something special with someone that's, you know, a relation or, you know, partner or with a friend, if it's planning something to celebrate what you've achieved is really, really important. And that's kind of the big focus for tonight as well, is just once you've hit that goal, celebrate it, enjoy it.
And also in that, I think we can often, if we do set a goal, get caught up in that, oh, I failed, I didn't achieve it. And well, we've heard a few times from, you know, from different places that you really should. Brian Tracy is a great guy who writes about a lot of goals, and he says that you should aim to fail 50% of the time. If you're not failing 50% of the time, you're actually not setting goals that are aspirational enough. And there's a couple of different schools of thought on this, but I think the main thing to remember is that if you've written down the goal, if you've looked at it, no matter what, when it gets to that by-when date, maybe you need to reevaluate and extend it a little. Maybe the goal has changed because you've enjoyed the journey so much that you've decided that, you know, it's taking you in a different direction, and that's okay as well. But whatever it is, if you've actually set a goal and you've worked towards achieving it, you need to be celebrating at the end. And even just a daily check-in and a daily celebration, whatever that looks like for you, it's really cool. Yeah, it makes it more fun.